666.
Let's talk about minerals and mining in Saudi Arabia. The kingdom is probably most known around the world for being the largest oil producer and de facto head of OPEC Plus, but Saudi Arabia also has the largest mineral deposits in the Middle East. And now the government is looking to build on its resource endowment, quote, a new, modern, and responsible mining industry in a new and emerging mining hub. And the kingdom wants to offer the opportunities in this sector to investors. In the west of the country, the Arabian Shield is a major source of precious and basic minerals such as gold, silver, copper, zinc, chromium, manganese, tungsten, lead, tin, etc. Like oil, mining has a carbon footprint, and there are complex economic forces driving the feasibility of extraction and export. Richard, let's talk a little bit about the mining and minerals sector in Saudi Arabia and sort of where it's going from here.
Yeah, it's an interesting play, and it's a play that has been part of their strategic planning for some time. And the mining sector is already viable. I mean, they generated $26 billion in revenue in 2020. Mm-hmm. They want to double this by 2030, and it's attracted a lot of domestic and international investment. And they have, like you mentioned, their primary things are phosphates. They have three major projects, and actually U.S. companies, including Mosaic and Bechtel, are heavily involved in those projects. Gold is actually their most lucrative sector. They have six gold mines. They just opened up an opportunity to pursue some 26 million tons of gold, zinc, and copper near Riyadh. Copper, the first copper smelter with Trafigura, Singapore, is coming online. Aluminum, 2009, Alcoa, they invested in and have developed an $11 billion project. It includes a bauxite mine, refinery, smelter. So, mining and minerals is already an important part of the economy. I mean, the big push now is, I think, Saudi Arabia, with two reasons. Saudi Arabia thinks it's a sleeping giant. And when you look at the mining sector, it comes underneath, in terms of the Vision 2030 scope, it comes underneath the National Industrial Development Plan. And that NIDP plan, they're dealing with industry, and that would be the automotive sectors, which we did a segment on, military, pharmaceutical, that sort of thing. Energy, power sectors and renewables, logistics, ports, exports, that sort of thing, and mining. And they really see mining as that third pillar, along with oil, and then second pillar, gas and petrochemicals, as being a huge natural resource revenue generator. And, the piece we did on the automotive industries, there's some interesting parallels with the mining industry, mm-hmm. in that one, there's a very large domestic market, and I didn't know this, but Saudi Arabia is the fourth largest net importer of minerals in the world, so you've got an immediate need right there. Two, again, like the automotive industry, geographic proximity to major end-use markets in MENA, Asia, and Europe. And three, again, like the auto industry that they're trying to establish, a really good jobs creator. I mean, the mining sector they're talking about wanting to create, some 250,000 geologists, engineers, and positions like that by 2030 through the mining, this expansion of the mining industry. So what are they offering? And they introduced a whole new mining law in January 2021. And what's upcoming, and part of what prompted us to look at this, was the Future Mineral Summit, FMS, coming up next week, 11th through the 13th of January.
Mm-hmm. In Riyadh. So I'm guessing we'll see some of these, some more things coming out. But, what are they offering? You mentioned the Arabian Shield, which is, and you mentioned, and that's it's interesting because when you look at it on a map, it's a geologic formation that basically runs along the east coast of the Red Sea. So Western Saudi Arabia, from Jordan through Saudi and through Yemen. And there's a Nubian Shield, which is on the other side of the Red Sea. It's kind of interesting when you think about all the tectonic activity in long ago. Mm-hmm. Whenever that Red Sea basin split, it basically separated these huge shields that are rife with minerals. And the estimate is 1.3 trillion worth of mm-hmm. potential mineral value in gold, copper, phosphate, iron ore, and rare earth minerals in that Arabian Shield. So that's one structural advantage. And the Saudi Geological Survey has already announced 54 locations for exploration. So, a lot of study has been made. Locales have been identified as possible and promising. Other basic stuff, and this is something when you think about a commodities company and all the places in the world where they do business, a lot of them aren't safe. A lot of them aren't secure. Doing business in Saudi Arabia is nice because you're safe. You also know there's a strong infrastructure: roads, rails, ports, electricity. So those are all positive. On top of that, and as part of this sort of mining campaign and the new mining laws that are trying to facilitate investment, they're going to have low tax and low royalties. I think income tax is 20%, and the royalty is 1 to 5% of net profit, not revenue. A 5-year royalty holiday from miners, discounts of up to 90% for sales to local downstream projects, which is really attractive because there are local downstream projects. 75% funding for exploration production. The Saudi Industrial Development Fund is offering 60% loans to investors. The Ministry of Industry and Mineral Resources is investing $3.7 billion of their own in the sector. They've recently digitized 80 years of geological surveys. So they have a national geological database. They've just launched, last year or so, they launched a 5-year regional geological survey with drones and that sort of thing all over the country, which is going to map 700,000 square kilometers of the Arabian Shield. So you're walking into a situation where you have real promising geological formations, good environment to do it, and some financial incentives to get moving forward. So it could be very attractive, and I think we'll probably see even more announcements coming out of this FMS summit in Riyadh. And they really want to see this, as I said, this is sort of a third leg of that natural resource revenue producer, job creator, and that sort of thing. That is part of the Vision 2030. So, it's funny. Saudi Arabia, as we've talked about, feels very blessed. And when you look at all the things they have been blessed with, certainly in terms of natural resources, beginning with oil, but it moves on to all these minerals. And then, of course, you have solar and wind and that sort of things. It's hard not to conclude they've been pretty lucky.
Yeah, you mentioned Mosaic and Bechtel. The largest Saudi mining company is Ma'aden, not to be confused with the late voice of the NFL, John Madden. But Ma'aden is chaired by Yasser Al-Rumayyan, who's also chair of the PIF, the Public Investment Fund.
Right.
He's non-executive chairman. Abdulaziz Al-Harbi is the CEO. He was appointed on the 25th of April, 2021. At the time that he was appointed, he was the third CEO of Ma'aden in 13 months. So there was a lot of change going on at Ma'aden during this time. But I think Saudi Arabia is really focusing on the mining sector as something that is also changing in line with everything else that is changing in Saudi Arabia. They're not just going to keep mining and stick with the status quo. They're looking to be a leader in mining technology. Actually, from the website of the event that's coming up next week, the Future Minerals Forum, they talk about how the mine of the future will be less visible, smaller, use less water and energy, be less polluting, more productive, and extract minerals more efficiently due to the mass application of new technologies. I think there's a lot of excitement and energy around the technological standpoint of extracting minerals. I also just want to add, you were talking about the Arabian Shield. That is a really cool thing to research online. It is really fascinating, the sort of the age of the plates coming together, and just a really good rabbit hole if you want to go down it.
One of the recent investments is this Australian-based EV Metals Group. And this is interesting because it threads in a bunch of things that are going on in Saudi Arabia. And they've committed to spending $3 billion over the next 9 years ago, so up to 2030, on building plants to process minerals, including lithium and nickel. And they will set up these processing facilities, but they've also want to get into exploration. They've got 15 application exploration licenses, and their plan is to develop a battery chemicals processing facility, which will tie in in producing 550,000 tons a year of high purity lithium hydroxide monohydrate with the plant initially getting feedstock. But the point being is they want to position themselves for what they think will be an EV, automotive ecosystem in Saudi Arabia.
And there's the rare earth elements angle here, tantalum.
Right.
Saudi Arabia has a quarter of the Earth's reserves of tantalum and niobium. I don't know what either of those things are, but but they have them, and they're in the ground. So, it's an interesting space. We will be hearing a lot about this coming up next week with the Future Minerals Forum. That looks like a big show in Riyadh.
Yeah, it does. And then the rare earth I discovered not too long ago. It's not that they're rare. There's plenty of it to be found. It's just hard to get.
Yeah, I remember. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a big thing, and obviously on key rare earth minerals, the U.S. in particular is trying to diversify away from China. It'd be awesome if Saudi Arabia could be part of that.